So the word help is really important to every language, really. We're always asking for help for something in our lives. So it's quite important to understand the different ways we can ask for help in English. There are many different phrases, expressions, words that we can use just to simply ask for some assistance, some help. So today that is what we will be looking at, as well as how to actually use your intonation and pronunciation to actually sound like you need help and not to sound like a robot. Let's do it. Hi everybody, it's Elliott from ETJ English and welcome to another British English lesson. But really today is a lesson about all English. People from all different countries will use these phrases to ask for help. Firstly, let's take a look at the word help. I think it's important that we know how to pronounce it. The first thing we need to look at is the letter H, so the sound at the beginning. It depends what country you're from, but many native languages have a problem with putting too much tightness in the throat, and it can become more of a h sound. So it's very important not to over-exaggerate this sound. It's a very soft, very relaxed sound in English. So just softly release the sound help. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second sound is an eh sound, like in my name, Elliott. The tongue is in the middle of the mouth. We're slightly smiling, and that's because the tongue is at the front of the mouth. Okay, when the tongue comes to the front of the mouth, the lips will spread slightly. Look at my face, my tongue is in the middle area of my mouth, at the front. Eh, eh, he, he. Now this is where it starts to get difficult. We have the dark L. So in English we have the light L, L, in words like light, and we have the dark L in words like help. So with the light L, the tongue is pushing up against the top of the mouth and then it flicks down to create a L, L, right? But the dark L, we're not doing that movement. We're just keeping the tongue at the top of the mouth. And the sound is more like an all, hell, hell. And then we finish with a nice p, p, p sound. So push your lips together and release the sound. Help, help. Now, I don't usually recommend just shouting this word at someone because it can sound rude, unless you are in an emergency in public. So let's say you're in public, there are people around, but they don't know about something really dreadful that's just happened. Maybe somebody just stole your wallet or your purse or your bag. Then what you're going to do is probably shout the word help. Now, you don't just want to say help, help, because what happens there is it sounds very flat. There's no tone, and people will not hear the sense of emergency. To create a sense of emergency, we need to use an emotional tone. We would call this a rise and fall tone or an up-down tone. So instead of being help, it would be help, help, up, down. This tone is really important to English. It creates effect, it creates emotion. It's a very, very powerful tone, and it's one which most students who join my course do not use. So again, that would be in an emergency if you needed to shout for help. Help! Okay, up, down. Obviously, don't go around practicing this on a train or in a public place because people will think that you're being killed or attacked in the street. Make sure you practice this in the comfort of your own home. But now we know how to shout for help. Now it's important to maybe ask for help in different ways, maybe in the workplace or from a friend in a particular situation. So here are a few useful phrases for you which should be able to help in different situations. Firstly, probably one I use the most, this is more in a work situation. Let's say there is someone who I need some time from. So maybe I'm working on something, but I need someone to dedicate a bit of time to me. I need them to help me for a little bit. Maybe it's a manager, someone higher than me, or someone who has some really good knowledge on something which I'm working on. I would actually say to them their name. So let's say their name is John. I could say, John, could I borrow you for a sec? Could I borrow you for a sec? Firstly, sec. Some of you might be wondering, what does sec mean? It's a short version of second. It's very, very common for us to say this. Even nowadays in formal situations, it's okay to say sec, but if you are worried, feel free to say second. So, John, could I borrow you for a second? Borrow. That means, can I take you and keep you for a few seconds or a few minutes? When we say sec or second, we don't mean 1 second, obviously. As an English speaker, generally that could mean anywhere between, 10 seconds all the way up to 20 minutes. So don't take that too seriously. So, could I borrow you for a sec? Notice how I'm pronouncing for a. I'm not saying can I borrow you or could I borrow you for a sec. I'm saying for a sec. I'm pronouncing for as f. I'm then using the R to help me connect to the vowel. For a sec. If you're a bit confused about connected speech and don't have very good understanding of it, I have many videos here which help with that. You can find them on my channel. So number 1 is, could I borrow you for a sec? Remember to use their name at the beginning. It does create more of a connection. Another one I use all of the time is, could you give me a hand? John, can you give me a hand? Or could you give me a hand? Can, could, you can use either. Could you give me a hand? Or can you give me a hand? Notice how I'm going, hand. This is making it into a question. Can you give me a hand? I'm raising the tone at the end, hand, to make it sound like I'm asking a yes-no question. I need an answer, could you come over here and help me? Alternatively, if you notice someone might need some help, you could say to them, do you need a hand? Do you need a hand? Okay, so same thing again, but now we're asking them if they need help. A hand just means help, like the old phrase, a helping hand. A more kind of indirect way of asking someone for help is, let me give you an example actually, and we'll start with an example. Let's say I am not very good at thinking of words. When I'm writing an essay, maybe a really important essay, and I want to use some more intelligent words in my essay. Perhaps I'm using the word good and nice too much. Now, I could say to my friend, again, John, I could say, John, you're good with words, aren't you? You're good with words, aren't you? By saying this, I'm kind of showing John that I need some help. I'm kind of telling John that I know he's good at this, so I need his help. So I would say, John, you're good with words, aren't you? And then he might say, yeah, what do you need? Or, yeah, do you need some help? Right? So that's a great way of opening a question. You could even say, John, you're good with words, aren't you? Could you give me a hand? Okay, so now we've turned it into a really big question, and it also sounds very polite. This is very advanced. Of course, a very, very formal way of asking for help is very simple. You could just say, I was wondering if you could help me with this. I was wondering if you could help me with this. So this turns it into quite a formal, saying that you were wondering, meaning they don't have to, but you were kind of thinking about maybe they could help you with this. And what this does is it makes it sound friendly, it makes you sound approachable, and it's also quite formal. You're being polite. So, John, I was wondering if you could help me with this. If you need someone's opinion, you could say, can I get your opinion? Or input. Can I get your input on this? Okay, so these are all kind of ways of asking for help with maybe a project you're doing, something you're doing that you need help with. And really, those are the main ways that I've noticed other people and also myself asking for help in various situations. I would say the most common are give me a hand. That's really, really common in the UK especially. And also, can I borrow you if you need someone for maybe a long amount of time and you want them to do something for you. So those would be my two kind of go-to ones, but you're welcome to experiment with many different ways. And it's okay just to say, can you help me? Honestly, it's absolutely fine to say that, but I'm just here to give you more options and more ways of perhaps being more playful and having fun with your English. Because we don't want to be bored when we're speaking English, and using the same expressions all of the time can often make things quite boring. So play around, have fun. Now, if you're looking to learn more about how to pronounce these words, pronounce these expressions, it's my job. I'm a professional pronunciation teacher. You're welcome to join my pronunciation course All of the details are in the link in the description below, etjenglish.com, and you can learn both with my course and with me through WhatsApp and WeChat voice messaging, whichever you prefer. And also, if you enjoyed this lesson, you found it helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already so you can see my future videos, and I will see you next time. Cheers guys, bye.